Being a coach on a varsity level is hard, but so is being a teacher. I'm here today with Travis Cruz, Valor teacher and Valor baseball coach, to discuss the Valor baseball program on how teaching affects his coaching. Thank you for joining me today, Mr. Cruz.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
To open up with the first question, what should we expect in this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think this upcoming season is going to be a fun one. I feel like it's the first year that I actually get to kind of take over the program myself, which is super exciting. Being here for a little bit over a decade and getting to see all that, and this being year 3 on head coaching side, should be a lot of fun. But I get to implement kind of my own style now, opposed to trying to kind of build off of what we already had. But then get the boys into what I hope and what I envision for us moving forward for the next little while.
Did you have any prior coaching job before Valor?
So I've kind of been all over the board in that realm. I started over at what was known as Hit Streak at the time back in high school. I was actually there with our previous athletic director, Brian Bond, and coaching with him over there. And then that transferred into helping out with Game Day, which is now in Parker. I got to build that from the ground up with Mr. Bond and the owner of Game Day there. So that was a fun experience for me, which then led me to Slammers for a little while. And then overall, I've always been here with Coach Keith Wall for the majority of all my coaching. But really, it's been Valor for the most part on the high school side of things.
All right, cool. Thank you. What do you look for in a varsity player?
Yeah, and the varsity player, we kind of have it's talked about a lot about a 5-tool player. However, we kind of have our own stats when it comes to that. We call it a base measurement. So they go through a series of tests where it's arm speed, running a 60, their shuttle run. There's just all these different components, and then it kind of helps us spit out a number. That number allows us to understand really where physically they are at, and then what numbers we're looking for. So in any given category, we're really looking for an athlete that scores about an 82 or more on the varsity side of things, is where we're sitting in that realm when it really comes to trying to find those varsity athletes. But at the same time, that can also be a little deteriorating in a way where we do have some really good kids and some guys who we're looking for brotherhood type of guys too. So as long as they fit along with that brotherhood style, that's really helpful and encouraging. And we need those types of guys as well on the team. So we're looking kind of more for an all around full package rather than just baseball specific in that knowledge area or how great you are as an athlete. We really want well-rounded athletes, and the majority of those being guys who are good brotherhood guys, but also ultimately want to walk hand in hand with Jesus at the same time.
For my next question, why did you want to become a coach at Valor?
So I don't know if I ever really wanted to become a coach. I think I didn't have an identity, I don't think, coming out of baseball. I wasn't sure leaving college, like what exactly I was going to do without the game anymore. And so that was a really big step back for me. And so when I got to talk to Keith Wall a little bit more about all of it, he said, why don't you just come coach with me? At least you get to be around the game. And I'm so grateful that was ever a part of that. And so then that just kind of led from one thing to the next on how I was going to become a coach. And I love the assistant side of it. I realized I was a really good number 2. I could help in so many wonderful ways. And then Keith kind of talked to me a little bit more about him passing down and him decided that he was going to step away. And it became kind of more of like you know what, I think this might be the next step that the Lord's asking me to do, especially for this program and being around it for so long.
Okay. For my last question, does teaching affect you in any way how you coach? Is there like anything you learn from one or the other that affects it?
I think the only thing that gets affected is my in-class time. So we do a lot, as a lot of us know. We're we're on the field quite a bit, but during like my certain afternoon times, when especially in season, I feel like my classes get the shorter end of the stick because I've got to get out there to the field and make sure that we're rocking and rolling with everything we need there. But ultimately, I don't know if it's that big of a hindrance on anything. I feel it's actually allowing me to get deeper connections, to relate with the kids, understand really where they're coming from the academic side, and then being able to help them from the athletic side. I think it's super unique that I'm one of two coaches in our school that gets to do in class and do on a sports side, on the athletic side. So it's very unique in that. So I get to be in both places at once, but I see it's more of it's helping than it is hurting any of my classes for the most part.
Well, that's all the time we have. So thank you, Mr. Cruz, for taking the time out of your day to take this interview, and we can't wait until the 2025 season.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Colin. Appreciate it.